Welcome inside another edition of the Neishloss Podcast, of course, presented by us here at Neishloss and Fleming. I'm your host, as always, Mike Asti, and on this edition of the show, it's our first in-person edition of this podcast as well. Here on our Neishloss YouTube channel, we are going to talk about Highmark in Western Pennsylvania, in general here, and what's going on in the Medicare market, of course, an important market to us, an important home base to us, and I'm going to have that conversation with, as you see here, Ashley Mountain, who is the manager of broker distributions for Highmark Medicare. And before we fully get underway, Ashley, I gotta give you in-person congratulations.
Thank you.
Recently married. We have that in common here.
Yep.
I also got recently married. And
COVID
we were talking,
weddings, right?
Yeah, we were able to get through them and have the COVID successful wedding despite everything, of course.
Yeah.
And we were talking honeymoon-wise. We're able to do something there, and now we're getting into the real world. So how has your real-world summer been after that?
It's been good. I would say married life's no different, so
right?
that's a good
I've
thing,
told
right?
people that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived together beforehand. I kind of have said that to people too. It's no different.
Yeah, we wear rings. That's about it.
Yeah, and I do tend to sometimes forget to actually put it on, but I made sure to put it on for this show since I figured
Nice.
you would have yours. But yeah, it's kind of the same old story. So congrats on that.
Thanks,
for sure.
you too.
That's awesome. Thank you. Again, Ashley Mountain, the manager of broker distributions for Highmark Medicare, as we're going to, of course, talk Highmark here. I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, bottom of this video. It'll help us get all of our content to you, and it is free to do so. And also find us all throughout social at Neishloss_Fleming on Instagram, as well as on LinkedIn and on Facebook. But Ashley, to kind of get underway now, and obviously this is an important time of year. This is an important market in terms of the Medicare space with Pennsylvania, and Highmark's certainly a known carrier. You have that branding, you have it on the stadium, so people are going to be driving by. They're going to at least know of it from that, if nothing else. But Pennsylvania does offer a lot of opportunities Medicare-wise. There are a lot of carriers around. There are a lot of major brand names as well that people may have heard of, and there's just a lot going on in terms of the Medicare market in Pennsylvania. Why do you feel clients still gravitate towards Highmark outside of just the brand name alone? What's still allowed Highmark to have so much success in such a competitive market like Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so great question, Mike. I would say that, obviously we do have a very strong brand. We've been building that brand for many reasons over the past several years.
Yeah.
I think one of the main reasons that we do have such a strong brand is our local presence. We've got local customer service. We've got offices here in Pittsburgh. We've got offices in our eastern side of the state in Camp Hill. And it's that local presence that they're getting no matter who they're speaking with. It's the customer service is located right here in Western Pennsylvania or in Johnstown or in West Virginia. So anytime, we have a member who calls into customer service, they're speaking to someone who's local to the region. They understand the market. They understand the providers.
People like that. I know
Yes.
people like that. I know people here especially like that too, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And our broker service is located also right here in our footprint. So our brokers have any questions, they get to speak with someone locally who understands Highmark. They're right in the office, right in the territory. And so I think that's one of the things that keeps us, top of mind for our broker community. But I think the other thing too is we really pride ourselves on one of our core behaviors, which is customer first. And so we think about what we've done over the last 18 months throughout COVID. We've done so many things to make sure that we keep our members as healthy and happy as possible, whether it comes to their physical health, their mental health, being able to not feel isolated during such a scary time. Some of the things we've done is we actually sent out over 250,000 what we called COVID kits to our members at the end of last year. Thermometers, gloves, first aid kits, hand sanitizer, all of that stuff, and a gift card, at the end of the year. So
gift card too.
Yeah, $100 gift card for the majority of our members. So that was a big thing for us. And we've done other things like, because we know that our members, especially our Medicare members, could feel isolated during this time. We started a lot of outreach. We did virtual bingos. We did a companionship program where we just did outreach to them to make sure they weren't feeling isolated. And we also started a pen pals program with Highmark employees and their kids who are writing to senior high rises. So a lot of great stuff that, we focused on that's a little bit outside of the box, but that people understand that Highmark really is putting their customer first.
Well, in the last year plus we've dealt with, I think you got to be outside the box.
Right. Yes.
You pretty much have to be outside the box and adapt and adjust, or else you may not be able to have success in this new, still pandemic client. Mm-hmm. Who knows where the future is going to take us? But taking care of the people out there is certainly important, especially in this state, in this area. I know that for sure, and it's easier said than done too, when you're talking about taking care of not only their physical health, but their mental health. And a lot of seniors could be isolated alone. My grandfather's been in assisted living this past year. That actually recently there was a COVID positive, so he's in isolation again. So it's always unfortunate when that happens, but there's no telling when it's going to occur, and you want to make sure the mind is right for the client as well. So that's certainly big. They're Ashley Mountain again, as we're talking Highmark in Pennsylvania here on the Neishloss Podcast. Now, getting into the nitty gritty a little bit here, what are some plans that have really popped, that have really been important to Highmark, that have been popular amongst people out there, that agents even like working with, and why do you think those plans have kind of stood out amongst the rest and experience growth as we're going now into potentially a new year and everything could change, obviously?
Yeah, so absolutely. Our two plans I would say that are most popular here in Western PA, our Community Blue Medicare HMO has been our flagship plan for several years now. $0 premium, has all those extra benefits. Does have a slightly limited network, especially in Allegheny and Erie County, but we have a lot of clients that say, hey, I'm willing to accept that for some lower copays, better benefits. I'm already just using, my local community provider. I'm only going to Butler Health System, or I'm only going to AHN, and I don't need access to all of the providers in the area. So that one's been a really great choice for a lot of our members. But recently we launched our Complete Blue PPO plan here in Western Pennsylvania. Is a $35 premium right now, so obviously things could change next year.
Sure.
But has that guaranteed in-network access to all of our local community providers. So we've got AHN, we've got UPMC, if they're in the southern region here, St. Clair, Heritage Valley, all those local hospital systems are included in this plan with that guaranteed in-network access.
Right.
Lots of great benefits for that $35 premium. And so that's been the one that we've seen a lot of growth in this year.
Yeah, and that's big too, because it's even a broader network than maybe what some of these plans can be worked out in the past. You mentioned UPMC's inclusion there, and Allegheny General, obviously a top brand hospital that people are going to know, whether it be here or even beyond. So having the network be so vast is a big deal. And then even the current $35 premium, that's not that much when you're looking at everything you're getting and having the network be so open. So sometimes you really do need to dive into plans that a $0 premium, while that's great and sounds great, that might not always be the best plan for you, depending on what else is going on. So that's for sure important to know. But yeah, those two plans, there certainly are others, wide portfolio for sure for Highmark in this area and also beyond. Now, in terms of selling Highmark, in terms of what's going on with Highmark into the nitty-gritty of these plans, actually, because we talked about some things you guys did for clients with COVID and different, benefits that you kind of sprinkled in because of what's going on this year, and even plans and their network now. But what are a couple benefits inside these plans, or just in general with Highmark's doing, that agents got to really be aware of when they're working with Highmark, and really you also feel are going to be attractive to clients out there and to consumers?
So when you think about our PPO plan, I would say the number one thing that's the most attractive is the option to obviously have in and out of network benefits, but then also the travel benefit. So they have access to 41 states right now with in-network access, as long as they're going to see someone who is part of the Medicare Advantage Blue Cross and Blue Shield network. And they receive care just like they're here in Western Pennsylvania. They can go into the Philadelphia region, they can go into Ohio, Cleveland Clinic, up into New York, and then even down to Florida, where we have...
I was going to say, weather's going to start... We were talking off the air, whether we're still in a summer mindset or moving into fall right now. I'm trying to hold on to summer as long as I can, but the weather is not cooperating with me, so you never know. And, of course... a lot of people do migrate down there.
Yeah, we've got a lot of snowbirds who love that PPO plan for the option to see their providers, their routine care. while they're in Florida for several months out of the year, and then they come back to Pittsburgh and they just continue their care during the summer months. So it's great.
What a life, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I hope to be able to do at some point in my life. Right. Yeah, and then also our supplemental benefits. So we've got a broad package of supplemental benefits that we offer on all of our Medicare Advantage plans. We started adding comprehensive dental and OTC, and we heard from a lot of our agents that, we might be a little bit behind on those. So stay tuned for next year if there's any enhancements to those plans.
There's a tease.
Yep. And then, of course, we've got, our hearing aid benefits at a copay, silver sneakers, which everyone loves, vision benefits. So I think it's that overall package. You've got an opportunity to go outside the network, you receive your in and out of network care, but then you've also got some of those additional benefits and, enhanced outside of those core medical benefits that everyone's looking for.
Right, yeah. And when you get to the core benefits, I mentioned the competition that's in Pennsylvania, certainly with major carriers also in the market. Everybody kind of touches on some of those, but when you really open up, you mentioned adapting and hearing what agents had said, which I think is important. When you have a strong brand like Highmark that everyone's heard of, that's been successful for so long, to still be hearing from agents, hey, we're not maybe at par at this. You need to improve because, again, there's so much competition. There's so much else going on. Everyone's kind of touching on one or two things at this point. So you got to dive deeper into benefits. So that's a big deal. And, of course, when you're talking about travel, that's something that's going to pop in the ears of a lot of consumers out there. Yeah, I hope when I get to that age that I can be living that life. I actually used to say when I was younger, I would tell my family that I was oddly jealous of my grandparents. I didn't want to be maybe that age, but living the retirement life, living in Florida for a few months. Yeah. So you want to make sure you're taken care of if you're doing that, and certainly these plans can certainly help with that. Again, speaking with Ashley Mountain, who is the manager broker distributions with Highmark Medicare here on the Neishloss Podcast. Want to remind you guys again as we get to the second half of the show, hit that subscribe button. Bottom of this video. It'll help us get all of our content to you and also find us all through social. And of course, the rest of what we offer here on this Neishloss and Fleming YouTube channel, Bill Correa's Near and Far Senior Moment that I'm a part of. I may have a even special guest starring role in that as a maybe Medicare Center bot, and also everything else we offer here on this YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. You can easily find it there whenever it gets released to you. But Ashley, these Highmark plans certainly make sense for a lot of people. And you got to do a needs analysis. You got to make sure you're finding the right plan for the right person. And Highmark is a successful company, successful brand. It's not going anywhere. It's certainly entrenched here in the market and all throughout Pennsylvania. But there's still challenges no matter what's going on. There's always going to be challenges that exist. You mentioned adding some benefits and adjusting some of those benefits off of some past criticism, which is great for a carrier like Highmark to do. What are some of those challenges that may still exist, that maybe you still hear from agents, and what advice would you offer to agents working with Highmark that want to work with Highmark, but maybe they're having trouble overcoming these challenges?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge we've seen over the last 18 months is the move to a more digital world, especially when our clientele is of the older age, and some of them might not be as technologically savvy. Right. Even the agents too. Some of them may be older, and they're so used to I'm going to meet in person, I'm going to do a paper application, I'm going to send it in. So it's been a big transition. But we've tried to do a couple of things on the Highmark side to make that easier for both the client and for our broker community. So we recently launched a digital enrollment kit where agents can actually, right through their producer portal, they'll have a link to a personalized URL, or a PURL we call it, where they can shoot out a copy of their digital enrollment kit right to their clients. And then anything they can, have a conversation over, a Zoom call, or if they just want to send it to them preemptively, or, and if the client clicks on anything in there, it's actually linked right to their NPN. So if there's an application that's taken out of that digital enrollment kit, they'll get all the credit for completing that application. So trying to make it easier for our agents. Obviously we have our online enrollment portal, which is, we're continuing to try to enhance that and provide additional reporting and things through that system so that agents can see, better tracking of their applications. And then, for those who still can't, figure out the online thing, we've added the option for them to do a telephonic enrollment through a conference call with our, one of our non-licensed internal agents.
That's nice to have.
Yeah.
Especially as you're mentioning adjusting to these times. If you're having difficulty, that's certainly a foolproof to rely on.
Yeah, so lots of different options for them, and we can continue to enhance those this year. We're adding our roadmap, which is sort of our plan guide, digitally as well. So we'll have some upcoming trainings for our agent community on how to use both those tools.
Okay. Yeah, and again, kind of forced into a lot of that this past year or so. A lot of this, too, what's happened with the pandemic, it forced people to advance technology-wise maybe quicker than everyone was going to be aware of or would have liked, but we were eventually going to get here anyway. So kind of just, it's not like this is only the reason why these things are happening. We're eventually going to get there anyway. But understanding, obviously, that's easier said than done, for sure. You're potentially having to reroute your whole business. So having the telephonic enrollment that's part of that as well. That, if there's some issue, even with Wi-Fi, with weather or whatever, or just the stress there, certainly can do it that way and get the enrollment. Us here as an FMO, Highmark, if you have the client, if they're interested, if it makes sense for them and you're taking care of their needs, we certainly want to make it as easy as possible and certainly want you to be able to enroll them. And I also know that I hear this from agents all the time, being able to track enrollments.
Yes.
So they're not, that's major too. So they're not just living in a fantasy, I feel like I enrolled this person, I don't have any way to prove it, but I haven't got this commission. Well, that can all be decided and be pretty clear. So I think that's big too. Ashley, I definitely appreciate you joining me. I will say that I know here at Neishloss Fleming, we definitely appreciate our relationship with Highmark because obviously that, in our backyard, and we certainly work throughout Pennsylvania and of course throughout the country. But we like to think we kind of have a lot to offer agents as well that are working with Highmark. In particular, this YouTube channel, I guess you could say, is part of that as well, as we offer a lot of informative and entertainment here on this Neishloss Fleming YouTube channel. Medicare Center, which is big here as an online enrollment platform. So again, that's part of the COVID times and helping you, the agent, have an easier time to enroll people and be able to kind of work beyond where you can even travel or would want to travel. We have a relationship with a digital marketing company called Snoozy. It's a funny name. I did a past podcast on it, so you can find that here on the podcast section, Neishloss Podcast section playlist of this channel with Ken French, and he kind of helps agents who maybe are having the difficulty in adjusting be able to market themselves online. So increase the digital footprint with social media, with the website, help them create and maintain on those. Or if you know it all, but you just don't want to, you're just so busy. That's kind of a pun off a show we also have here, Know It All. But if you're just so busy, he can kind of take the workload away from you as well. We have bonus programs like Greenhouse. We have an in-house graphic designer. Her name is Kat. She's wonderful as well. Can help you make business cards, postcards, mailers. Create a billboard out there. They got a stadium. You can create a billboard out there as well to try to do that as well. So we have a lot. We definitely appreciate you joining me here. Certainly in person. Nice to see you in person.
Yes.
Since that's again not as common in the times we've been in the last year or so. Most of these shows, of course, have not been in person. So this has been really, really nice. And congrats again on getting married. Just any final words here, just as we close up the show.
Well, I just want to thank you again for having me here today. It is nice to have everybody, seeing people in person and having face-to-face.
It's underrated.
You can see people's smiles with no masks on, so that's great. But I just want to, thank Neishloss Fleming. They've done a lot for Highmark over the past, several years, and a lot that they're doing for their agents as well. You mentioned the Medicare Center, which when we talk about digital platforms, that's where it's at.
There it is. Yeah. Whoop, there it is. Medicare Center,
Yeah, obviously we have our own portal, but we work very closely with Neishloss Fleming on Medicare Center to make sure that's successful for the agents that are using it. And of course, all the lead generation opportunities that you provide for the agents. We appreciate that too, as a lot of that enrollment's coming through Highmark. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, Ashley Mountain, the manager of broker distributions for Highmark Medicare. For Ashley, for all of us here at Neishloss Fleming, this has been another edition of the Neishloss Podcast, of course, presented by Neishloss and Integrity Marketing Group. I'm your host, as always, Mike Asti, and thanks again, Ashley. Until we meet again.